My daughter? Out here?
She's my friend, Dad. She's teaching me.
Teaching you? Who are you?
I just want to help.
You're a good girl. Come with me. I'll adopt you.
At 7 in the morning, billionaire Adrian Vale stepped out of his black limousine expecting the usual. Reporters, security guards, and another perfect day planned for his spoiled little daughter, Lily. But across the street, beside the cold stone steps of his company tower, he saw something that made him stop. A barefoot homeless girl, no older than 16, was sitting on a cardboard box with a torn notebook in her lap. In front of her was Lily, dressed in designer clothes, listening as if the world had gone silent. The girl was teaching her math, patiently drawing numbers in the dust with a broken pencil. Adrian's first reaction was anger. Why was his daughter talking to a stranger? Why had the guards allowed this? But then Lily solved a problem she had struggled with for months, and smiled in a way Adrian had not seen since her mother died. When he asked the homeless girl her name, her answer uncovered a secret that shook his entire empire, and what Adrian did next left the whole city speechless. For a moment, Adrian did not move. The morning wind tugged at his navy coat, and the employees near the revolving doors stared as if waiting for a command. Usually, Adrian gave commands before anyone could ask. But this morning, his voice had disappeared. His head of security, Marcus Reed, hurried over. "Sir, I'm sorry. Miss Lily slipped away while we were clearing the entrance. I'll handle it." Adrian lifted one hand, stopping him. Across the street, Lily did not look frightened. She looked alive. Her small face, usually pale behind tinted windows, glowed with curiosity. She pointed at the dusty numbers and said something Adrian could not hear. The homeless girl nodded, then corrected the broken pencil's path. Adrian's jaw tightened. Since his wife, Evelyn, had died 2 years ago, Lily had locked herself inside silence. Tutors came and went. Therapists softened their voices. Nothing worked. Lily refused lessons, birthdays, even laughter. Yet here she was, learning from a girl with tangled hair, a thin jacket, and bare feet pressed against freezing concrete. Adrian crossed the street. Traffic slowed when people recognized him. Phones lifted. A reporter near the curb whispered into her microphone. Adrian ignored them all. His shoes clicked against the asphalt like a countdown. Lily saw him first. The brightness on her face faded. "Daddy," she said, standing quickly. The homeless girl closed the notebook against her chest. Her shoulders stiffened, but she did not run. Adrian looked down at the marks in the dust. Fractions, equations, little stars beside correct answers. At the bottom, Lily had written her name, then beside it, one careful word, possible. "What is going on here?" Adrian asked. Lily swallowed. "She was helping me." "She has a name." The girl raised her chin. "Maya." "Maya what?" Her eyes flickered with caution learned too early. "Maya Bennett." Adrian felt the name strike deep in his memory. Bennett. He had heard it in boardrooms, legal files, and angry phone calls that ended too quickly. Before he could place it, Lily stepped between them. "Don't send her away," Lily said. "Please." The word startled him. Lily had not begged for anything in months. Adrian studied Maya again. On the torn notebook cover, someone had written, "Northbridge Academy, Advanced Mathematics." "You attend Northbridge?" Adrian asked. "I used to." "Why are you here?" Maya's fingers tightened around the notebook. "Because people like you ask questions only after everything is already taken." Marcus stepped closer. "Watch your tone." "No," Adrian said quietly. Something in Maya's answer unsettled him. It was not just anger, it was recognition. She knew him, or knew enough to hate him. Lily tugged his sleeve. "Daddy," she made math easy. She said numbers aren't scary if you know what they're trying to say. Adrian looked at his daughter, and what are they trying to say? Lily glanced at Maya, who gave her a tiny nod. "They're trying to say there's always a way to find the missing part." The words landed gently, but Adrian felt them like a blow. The missing part. That was what his home had become since Evelyn, a mansion full of empty rooms and a child slowly disappearing before his eyes. A crowd had gathered now, waiting to see whether the billionaire would punish the homeless girl or pretend none of it had happened. Adrian crouched to Lily's height. "Would you like Maya to come inside and continue the lesson?" Lily's eyes widened. "Really?" Maya stepped back. "I'm not going anywhere with you." Adrian stood slowly. "Then I'll wait here." The crowd murmured. Maya blinked. "What?" "You said people like me ask too late, so I'm asking now. Tell me what was taken." Maya's courage cracked, and behind it was exhaustion. "My father," she said. Adrian's breath caught. "Daniel Bennett," Maya continued. "He worked for your company, and after he found out what Vale Industries was hiding, he vanished." The name Daniel Bennett changed the air around them. Adrian's face hardened, but not with anger. For the first time that morning, he looked uncertain. His eyes shifted toward Marcus, who had gone very still. The security chief's expression was unreadable, but Adrian knew him well enough to notice the flicker of recognition. "You knew my father," Maya said. Adrian did not answer immediately. The crowd around them grew quieter. Even the reporter across the street lowered her microphone, sensing that this was no ordinary scene of a rich man confronting a poor girl. Something heavier had risen between them. "I knew of him," Adrian said at last. Maya laughed once, but there was no humor in it. "That's what they all say." Lily looked from her father to Maya. "Daddy, who is Daniel Bennett?" Adrian's mouth tightened. He hated that his daughter had to hear this on a sidewalk, surrounded by strangers and cameras. But Lily's hand was still gripping his sleeve, and her eyes demanded honesty. "He was an engineer," Adrian said, "a very smart one." "He was the smartest," Maya said quickly, "and he was honest. That's why he disappeared." Marcus stepped forward again. "Mr. Vale, we should move inside." This time, Adrian agreed. Not because he wanted to silence Maya, but because too many people were watching. Too many phones were recording. Whatever Daniel Bennett's daughter had to say, Adrian wanted to hear it without the city turning it into entertainment. "Maya," he said, "come inside. No one will touch you, no one will force you to stay. You have my word." Maya looked at him with open distrust. "Your word didn't save my father." The accusation struck him harder than he expected. Adrian had built towers, purchased newspapers, influenced elections, and made men tremble with a glance. Yet this barefoot girl made him feel like a defendant waiting for judgment. Lily let go of his sleeve and walked back to Maya. "I'll go with you," Lily said softly. Maya's eyes softened at once. "You don't have to." "I want to." Adrian saw it then, the strange bond between them. Lily, who barely spoke to anyone, trusted this girl completely. And Maya, who seemed ready to fight every adult in the world, looked at Lily with protective warmth. That was why Adrian nodded. The four of them entered Vale Tower through the front doors. The lobby fell silent. Assistants froze. Executives paused mid-conversation. Marble floors reflected the strange little procession. A billionaire, his daughter, his security chief, and a homeless teenager clutching a torn notebook like armor. Adrian led them not to the boardroom, but to a private conference room on the 42nd floor. It had glass walls, a long black table, and a view of the city glittering below. Maya remained near the door, refusing the leather chair offered to her. Lily sat beside her anyway. "Tell me," Adrian said. Maya opened her notebook. Between pages of equations were folded newspaper clippings, handwritten notes, and a photograph creased down the middle. She placed the photo on the table. A man smiled from the image. He had tired eyes, thick glasses, and one arm around a younger Maya in a school uniform. Adrian recognized him now. Daniel Bennett. The memory came sharply. 5 years earlier, Daniel had stood in a crowded executive meeting and challenged a safety report on the East River housing project. Vale Industries had supplied the foundation materials. Daniel claimed the numbers were wrong. He claimed someone had changed the stress test results. Adrian had not been in charge of daily operations then. His uncle, Victor Vale, had handled the project while Adrian expanded the company overseas. Adrian remembered hearing that Daniel Bennett was unstable, obsessed, and making accusations without proof. Then Daniel resigned. Or so Adrian had been told. He didn't resign, Maya said, as if reading his thoughts. He came home scared. He told my mother he had proof that Vale Industries used cheaper materials and covered it up. He said families could die if the buildings weren't repaired. Adrian stared at the clippings. The East River housing project had been celebrated as affordable housing for thousands. His company had received awards for it. His wife had cut the ribbon beside him, proud that their family name was attached to something that seemed good. What happened next? Adrian asked. Maya's voice grew quieter. He left one night to meet someone who said they could help him expose the truth. He never came back. A week later, men came to our apartment. They searched everything. My mother tried to report it, but nobody listened. Then she got sick. Then we lost the apartment. Lily reached for Maya's hand beneath the table. Adrian noticed, but said nothing. Who were the men? He asked. Maya looked at Marcus. Marcus stiffened. I have never seen this girl before today. I didn't say it was you, Maya replied, but they wore your company's badges. Adrian turned to Marcus. Pull every record on Daniel Bennett, employment files, termination documents, security logs, legal communications, everything. Marcus hesitated. Sir, some of those files may be restricted. Adrian's voice became cold. Not from me. Marcus nodded and left the room. For the first time, Maya looked slightly less certain of him. Adrian stood by the window. Far below, people moved like dots between the towers his fortune had built. He had always believed money gave him control. Now it seemed money had only built walls around the truth. Lily spoke into the silence. Daddy, can Maya stay with us? Maya pulled back. No, I'm not Charity. I didn't mean it like that, Lily said quickly. I just mean you shouldn't be cold. Maya's expression wavered. Adrian turned from the window. You taught my daughter more in 15 minutes than anyone has in 2 years, he said. I won't insult you with pity, but I will offer you safety while I find out what happened to your father. Maya studied him, and if your company did it. Adrian looked at the photograph of Daniel Bennett. Then my company answers for it. At that moment, the conference room door opened. Marcus returned, pale. Sir, he said, holding a folder in his hand, there's a problem. Adrian took one step toward him. What problem? Marcus swallowed. According to company records, Daniel Bennett never existed. For several seconds, no one spoke. The folder in Marcus's hand looked ordinary, plain grey cover, company stamp, neat white label, but it seemed to carry the weight of something rotten. Adrian reached for it slowly. Marcus did not resist, though his fingers held on a moment too long before letting go. Adrian opened the folder. Inside were printed records from Vale Industries' internal archive, employee search results, security clearance logs, payroll histories, project rosters. Each page showed the same impossible thing. No match found. Maya stared at the papers with a bitterness far beyond her years. That's what they told my mother, she said. They said my father never worked there. They said she was confused. They said he must have lied to us. Adrian flipped through the documents faster, his eyes moving with sharp disbelief. This is impossible. No, Maya said, it's convenient. Lily's hand tightened around Maya's. The little girl did not understand corporate records or erased employment files, but she understood when someone had been hurt by people more powerful than them. Adrian looked at Marcus. The East River housing project had hundreds of engineers. Pull the archived project team list. I did, Marcus said. And Marcus opened his mouth, then closed it. Adrian's voice dropped. Say it. There are gaps, Marcus admitted. Several personnel IDs are missing, not deleted exactly, more like overwritten. Maya stood so quickly her chair scraped the floor. You knew. Marcus's face sharpened. Careful. No, you be careful, Maya said, her voice shaking. My father disappeared. My mother spent years crying over letters nobody answered, and now you're standing here acting like missing records are just some computer problem. Maya, Lily whispered. But Maya could not stop. Her pain had waited too long. We slept in shelters. We ate whatever people threw away. My mother kept saying Mr. Vale would help if he knew. She believed rich people still had souls. Maya turned to Adrian. She wrote to you 27 times. Adrian went still. What? Maya reached into her notebook and pulled out a folded stack of copies. The papers were worn at the edges, protected carefully despite everything else she had lost. She laid them on the table one by one. Letters. All addressed to Adrian Vale. All unanswered. Adrian picked up the first page. The handwriting was graceful but desperate. Dear Mr. Vale, my husband Daniel Bennett worked for your company. I believe something terrible happened after he discovered. Adrian stopped reading. He remembered none of them. Not one. He looked at the dates. Some were from just after Evelyn's death, when he had disappeared into grief and left the company to Victor. Others were later, when Adrian had returned but trusted his staff to filter his mail. Who handled these? Adrian asked. Marcus glanced down. Executive correspondence would have gone through the chairman's office. My uncle. Marcus did not answer. Maya's eyes narrowed. Victor Vale. At the sound of that name, the room felt colder. Victor Vale was not merely Adrian's uncle. He was the man who had raised him after Adrian's parents died. He was charming in public, ruthless in private, and beloved by shareholders because he knew how to make profit look like destiny. For years, Adrian had defended him from critics. He had believed Victor was hard because business required hard men. Now Adrian wondered how much cruelty he had mistaken for strength. The conference room phone rang. Everyone startled. Adrian pressed the speaker button. Yes. His assistant's voice came through, tense and careful. Mr. Vale, your uncle is here. He says he needs to speak with you immediately. Adrian looked at the letters on the table. Send him in. Marcus shifted. Sir, that may not be wise. Adrian ignored him. A minute later, Victor Vale entered like a man walking onto a stage. He wore a silver tie, polished shoes, and the calm smile of someone who expected every room to belong to him. His hair was white at the temples, his posture straight, his eyes bright with practiced warmth. Adrian, Victor said, what an unfortunate spectacle downstairs. Reporters are already calling. We need to manage the story before. He stopped when he saw Maya. Only for a second. But Adrian saw it. Recognition flashed across Victor's face, quick as lightning and just as revealing. Maya saw it too. You know me, she said. Victor recovered smoothly. I'm afraid I don't. You knew my father. Victor gave a soft sigh, the kind adults used when dismissing children. My dear, many troubled people invent connections to important companies. It is sad, but not uncommon. Maya's cheeks burned. Don't call me dear. Lily stood beside Maya. Don't talk to her like that. Victor's smile faltered. He had never been challenged by Lily before. In his world, children were decorative, not dangerous. Adrian closed the folder. Daniel Bennett, he said. Victor turned to him. I have no idea who that is. Then why did you react when you saw his daughter? I reacted because a homeless girl is standing in your conference room beside your child. Adrian stepped closer. She has letters addressed to me, letters I never received. Victor's expression cooled by a degree. You were grieving. I protected you from nonsense. Did you protect me from nonsense, Adrian asked, or from evidence? The room went silent. Victor looked at Marcus. Leave us. Marcus did not move. Adrian noticed that too. Marcus stays, Adrian said. Victor's jaw tightened. Then he laughed quietly. You are tired, Adrian. You saw a little street drama, and now you're ready to accuse your own blood because of a child's fairy tale. Maya slammed her notebook open and pulled out a small flash drive taped beneath the back cover. My father left this with our neighbor the night he disappeared, she said. My mother was scared to use it. I was scared too, but I'm not scared anymore. Victor's face changed. Not much. Enough. Adrian reached for the flash drive. Before he could take it, the lights in the conference room flickered once. The smart glass walls went dark. The door lock clicked. Lily gasped. Marcus rushed to the keypad. We're locked in. Victor did not look surprised. Maya clutched the flash drive against her chest. Adrian turned slowly toward his uncle. What did you do? Victor's smile vanished. What I should have done 5 years ago, he said. Victor Vale no longer bothered to pretend. The kind uncle, the polished chairman, the smiling face from charity galas, all of it slipped away. What remained was a man Adrian had seen only in flashes over the years, cold, calculating, and certain that power was the same thing as permission. Lily moved closer to Adrian. Daddy. Adrian placed one hand gently on her shoulder without taking his eyes off Victor. Stay behind me. Maya backed toward the wall, clutching the flash drive so tightly her knuckles turned pale. The conference room, once bright with morning sunlight, now felt like a sealed box. The darkened smart glass blocked the view of the city. The door keypad blinked red. Marcus struck the keypad with his palm. Override isn't working. Of course it isn't, Victor said calmly. You think I built this company for 40 years and left myself without control of the building? Adrian stared at him. You erased Daniel Bennett. Victor adjusted one cuff. I erased a problem. Maya's voice trembled, but she did not lower her head. My father was a person. Your father was an employee who forgot his place. Adrian stepped forward. Careful. Victor's eyes snapped to him. No, Adrian, you be careful. You have spent years playing the noble billionaire while others made the hard decisions that kept this empire standing. Daniel Bennett found irregularities in a project that was already too expensive, too public, and too politically useful to stop. So you covered it up. I protected the company. You stole from families who trusted us to build safe homes. Victor's expression hardened. The buildings are standing, aren't they? Maya's eyes filled with anger because my father forced emergency repairs before he disappeared. He told my mother he sent warnings to the city. Victor looked at her sharply, and Adrian saw the answer before Victor said a word. Daniel had done more damage to the cover-up than anyone knew. Adrian held out his hand toward Maya. Give me the drive. Maya hesitated. For a painful second, Adrian understood why. In Maya's world, adults had failed, lied, vanished, or looked away. Trust was not something she could hand over like a piece of plastic. So he lowered his hand. No, he said, keep it, it's yours. Maya looked surprised. Victor laughed, touching but useless. A speaker in the ceiling crackled. A mechanical voice announced, security protocol engaged, floor 42 restricted. Marcus turned toward Victor. You locked down the floor. Victor ignored him. In 10 minutes, my crisis team will release a statement. It will say Adrian suffered an emotional episode brought on by grief and stress. It will say a troubled runaway manipulated his daughter. It will say I am stepping in temporarily to protect the company. Adrian's face did not change, but his voice became deadly quiet. You planned this. I adapted, Victor said. That is why I survive. Lily's small voice cut through the tension. You're a bad man. Victor looked at her as if noticing her for the first time. Lily, adults are complicated. No, Lily said, her chin lifting. You're just bad. Maya glanced at Lily with fierce pride. Adrian felt something shift inside him. For 2 years, he had treated Lily like glass, afraid that any hard truth would break her. But she was not breaking, she was standing. Maybe children did not need perfect silence. Maybe they needed someone brave enough to tell the truth in front of them. Victor walked toward the table. Give me the flash drive, Maya. She stepped back. No. Maya, he said softly, you have survived this long because nobody important cared enough to notice you. Do not make me care. Adrian moved between them. Threaten her again, and you'll regret it. Victor smiled thinly. With what power? Your phone has no signal. Your security chief answers to systems I control. Your board is already waiting for my call. Marcus suddenly spoke. Not all of security answers to you. Victor looked over. Marcus had opened a panel beneath the conference table and pulled out a small emergency transmitter. His hands moved quickly, entering a code. Victor's face darkened. Marcus. Marcus did not look up. You made me head of security. That means I know where you hide the old systems. The transmitter beeped. Message sent, Marcus said. To whom? Adrian asked. Marcus looked at him. Evelyn Vale's private attorney. Adrian froze. My wife's attorney. Marcus nodded. Mrs. Vale made arrangements before she died. She said if Victor ever moved openly against you, I was to contact him. Victor's calm finally cracked. You miserable traitor. Marcus faced him. No, I was a coward. There's a difference. Maya stared at him. You knew something. Marcus swallowed hard. I knew there were files I was told never to open. I knew Daniel Bennett was escorted out the night before he vanished. I told myself it was above my rank. Tears glimmered in Maya's eyes. You could have helped. Yes, Marcus said quietly, I could have. The honesty did not heal anything, but it changed the room. Victor was no longer surrounded by obedient silence. The first wall had fallen. Suddenly, the room's main screen flickered on. Instead of the Vale Industries logo, a woman appeared. She was older, elegant, with silver hair and sharp eyes. Adrian, she said through the screen, this is Nora Whitcomb, Evelyn's attorney. Marcus's emergency signal reached me. I am recording everything. Victor stepped back. Nora continued, and Victor, before you disconnect this feed, you should know it is already mirrored to 3 external servers. For the first time, Victor Vale looked afraid. Maya lifted the flash drive. Then let's show everyone what my father found. Maya's hand shook as she held up the flash drive. For years, that tiny piece of metal and plastic had been nothing more than a burden. Her mother had hidden it inside a jar of buttons, then beneath a loose floorboard, then finally inside Maya's notebook when the apartment was gone. Maya had carried it through shelters, bus stations, school bathrooms, and cold nights beneath awnings. She had never known whether it contained truth or just another dead end. Now everyone in the room stared at it as if it could burn down an empire. Adrian turned to the screen. Nora, can you access this remotely? If you plug it into the conference system, yes, Nora said, but do not use the main terminal. Victor may have monitoring software installed. Victor's face tightened. This is absurd. You are allowing a child to dictate corporate action based on stolen property. It belonged to her father, Adrian said. It belonged to Vale Industries. No, Maya said, it belonged to the truth. Lily smiled a little at that. Marcus moved to a side cabinet and pulled out an old emergency laptop sealed in a protective case. This one runs outside the building network. Mrs. Vale had it installed after a cyber attack scare. Adrian looked at him. Evelyn knew more than she told me. She suspected more, Marcus answered. The mention of Evelyn softened Adrian's expression for a second. He thought of his wife walking through this very tower, graceful and kind, seeing things he had missed because he had been too busy conquering the world to notice the cracks under his own feet. Marcus opened the laptop. The screen glowed blue. Maya looked at Adrian. If I give this to you and it proves my father was right, you can't bury it. I won't. Promise, Lily, Maya said. Adrian glanced at his daughter. Lily stared up at him, waiting. Adrian crouched before her. I promise you, Lily, whatever is on that drive, I will not hide it. Lily nodded, and you have to help Maya. I promise that too. Only then did Maya hand Marcus the flash drive. Victor lunged. It happened so fast, Lily cried out. Victor grabbed for the drive, but Adrian caught his wrist before he reached it. The two men stood locked in silence, uncle and nephew, blood against blood. Don't, Adrian said. Victor's eyes were wild now. You have no idea what you're destroying. Adrian released him with controlled disgust. I'm beginning to understand exactly what I'm destroying. Marcus inserted the drive. Folders appeared. Nora's face sharpened on the screen. Open the one labeled ERHP. Marcus clicked. Files filled the laptop. Safety reports, photographs, emails, scanned signatures, altered calculations, and a video file labeled for Maya. Maya stopped breathing. Open it, she whispered. Adrian's voice softened. Are you sure? Maya nodded, though tears had already gathered in her eyes. Marcus opened the video. Daniel Bennett appeared on the screen. He sat in what looked like a workshop, his glasses crooked, his face tired but determined. Maya covered her mouth with both hands. Lily reached for her again. If you are watching this, Daniel said, then I failed to come home. Maya, my star, I am sorry. Maya made a small broken sound, but did not look away. Daniel continued. Vale Industries changed the foundation reports for East River housing. The original materials failed safety requirements. I reported it. My supervisor warned me to stay quiet. When I refused, Chairman Victor Vale offered me money to disappear. Victor stared at the floor. On the screen, Daniel lifted a stack of papers. The proof is here, not just the altered reports, but the payment routes, the false contractor invoices, and the names of everyone involved. I have also sent copies to someone I believe I can trust. If anything happens to me, find Adrian Vale. I do not know if he is guilty, but Evelyn Vale believed he still had a conscience. Adrian closed his eyes. Evelyn. Even from the past, she had reached for the truth. The video ended, leaving only the hum of the locked room. Maya wiped her cheeks angrily, as if ashamed of crying. He thought you might help. Adrian looked at her, and there was no defense left in him. Then I am sorry it took me this long. Nora spoke from the screen. I have enough to contact federal authorities, the city inspector general, and the press. Adrian, I need your instruction. Victor snapped his head up. Adrian, think. If this goes public, Vale Industries loses contracts, investors panic, thousands of employees suffer. You will destroy your father's legacy. Adrian looked at him with quiet sadness. My father's legacy was never supposed to be fear. Victor turned desperate. I raised you. You raised me to win, Adrian said. Evelyn taught me why winning means nothing if innocent people pay the price. He faced Nora. Release everything. Nora nodded, understood. Victor staggered back as if the words had struck him. You fool. No, Lily said softly, he's my dad. That simple sentence broke something open in Adrian's chest. For 2 years, he had measured himself by profits, headlines, and control. But Lily's voice held a different kind of judgment, and this time he had not failed it. The conference room door suddenly clicked. The lockdown ended. Outside, hurried footsteps filled the hallway. Legal staff, senior security officers, and members of the emergency board committee rushed in. Phones rang. News alerts began lighting up across every screen in the room. Maya looked overwhelmed, as if the truth had arrived too loudly. Adrian stepped beside her. You don't have to face this alone. She looked at the frozen image of her father on the laptop screen. I don't want money, she said. I know. I want people to know he wasn't crazy. I want my mother to know she was right to believe him. Then that is where we start. Within an hour, the city knew Daniel Bennett's name. By noon, Victor Vale had resigned under investigation. By evening, crowds gathered outside Vale Tower, not to praise the billionaire, but to hold signs bearing the name of the engineer who had tried to save them. And in the middle of the storm, Lily sat beside Maya in Adrian's private office, finishing the math problem they had started in the dust. 3 weeks later, the front steps of Vale Tower looked nothing like they had that cold morning. There were no shouting reporters now, no frightened employees rushing past cameras, no guards trying to push the truth behind glass doors. Instead, hundreds of people stood quietly in the sunlight while a black cloth covered a bronze plaque beside the entrance. Maya stood at the front of the crowd wearing new shoes, a warm coat, and the same guarded expression she had worn the first day Adrian met her. She did not look comfortable with attention. She kept one hand tucked around the strap of her backpack, as if part of her still expected to run. Beside her stood Lily, holding a small bouquet of white flowers. Adrian watched them from a few feet away. Something had changed between the girls. Lily no longer seemed like a lonely child trapped inside grief, and Maya no longer seemed like a girl fighting the whole world by herself. They still came from opposite ends of the city, but somehow, on a sidewalk covered in old dust and new sunlight, they had met in the middle. The investigation had moved quickly after Nora released Daniel Bennett's files. City officials confirmed that the East River housing project had been built with materials that never should have passed inspection. Emergency repairs were ordered. Families were relocated safely while the buildings were reinforced. Vale Industries paid for all of it. Victor Vale was gone from the company. His portrait had been removed from the executive floor. His name had been stripped from charity boards. The board tried to persuade Adrian to handle everything quietly, to issue careful statements and protect the brand. Adrian refused. For the first time in his life, he did not want protection from the truth. He wanted the truth to stand where everyone could see it. A woman stepped carefully toward Maya. She was thin, with tired eyes and a soft scarf around her head. Maya turned, and her expression changed completely. "Mom," she whispered. Her mother, Grace Bennett, held out trembling arms. Maya went into them at once. The crowd fell silent. Grace had spent years being dismissed as a grieving woman who could not accept her husband's disappearance. Now the city knew she had been right all along. Her husband had not abandoned his family. He had tried to protect thousands of strangers. Adrian approached them slowly. "Mrs. Bennett," he said. Grace looked at him. For a moment, he saw all the pain his family name had caused her. No apology could return the years she had lost. No money could bring Daniel back. Still, Adrian owed her the words. "I am sorry," he said, "for not seeing it sooner, for not hearing you, for every letter that never reached me." Grace studied him quietly. "My husband believed you might do the right thing." Adrian lowered his gaze. "He gave me more faith than I deserved." "Yes," she said, "but my daughter gave you a chance to earn it." Maya looked embarrassed. "Mom." Grace kissed her forehead. "It's true." Adrian turned toward the crowd. Cameras waited, but he no longer cared how he looked. He cared only that the right name was remembered. He stepped to the microphone. "Years ago," Adrian began, "Daniel Bennett discovered that Vale Industries had betrayed the people it promised to serve. He tried to expose the truth. For that courage, he was erased from our records, ignored by our leaders, and taken from his family." A murmur moved through the crowd. Adrian continued, his voice steady. "Today we restore his name, not as an employee number, not as a scandal, as a father, an engineer, and a man whose honesty saved lives. He turned and nodded to Maya. She froze. Lily squeezed her hand. You can do it. Maya stepped forward with her mother beside her. Together, they pulled the black cloth away. The bronze plaque shone in the sun. Daniel Bennett Memorial Learning Center. For every child searching for the missing part. Maya read the words once, then again. Her eyes filled, but this time she did not wipe the tears away. The Learning Center would occupy the first 3 floors of Vale Tower's old private annex. It would offer free tutoring, meals, shelter support, school supplies, and scholarships for children who had been treated as invisible. Adrian had insisted that Maya help design it. Maya had insisted on one thing. No pity posters, she had told him, no rich people smiling at poor kids for cameras. Adrian had agreed immediately. The center would not be charity for display, it would be repair. After the ceremony, Lily led Maya back to the same spot where they had first sat together. The dust had been washed away, but Lily crouched anyway and used a piece of chalk to write a math problem on the pavement. Maya laughed. You know there are classrooms inside now, right? I know, Lily said, but this is where I learned. Adrian stood nearby, watching his daughter smile without fear. Maya glanced up at him. She's getting better. I know, Adrian said. She still misses her mom. So do I. Maya nodded, as if that answer was enough. Lily finished the problem and looked at Maya. Did I do it right? Maya checked it carefully, then drew a star beside the answer. Perfect. Lily beamed. A reporter called out from behind the barrier. Mr. Vale, what made you decide to trust a homeless girl over your own uncle? Adrian looked at Maya, then at Lily, then at the plaque shining beside the tower doors. Because she was teaching my daughter the truth, he said, and the truth is worth more than anything I own. That answer spread across the city by nightfall. People said the billionaire had shocked everyone by exposing his own empire. They said he had changed because of one barefoot girl with a broken pencil. They said many things. But Adrian knew the real miracle was simpler. A child who had lost her voice found it. A girl who had been ignored was finally heard. And a missing father's name, once buried beneath lies, now stood in sunlight where no one could erase it again.